Okay, our last passage ended with Aeneas decrying his current situation in the storm, and he's wishing that he had died at Troy instead of being in this current circumstance. And at the very end of the passage, we have an allusion to the episode in the Iliad, in book 21, I believe, where Achilles, in his desire to avenge Patroclus' death, he kills so many Trojans that the river Simois is clogged with their bodies and weapons and such. Okay, let's see how many mistakes we can make in this passage. All right, so here we have Iactanti. Okay, that's a dative participle, a dative present participle, and that's representing Aeneas. Okay, so to him uttering such things, okay, literally throwing out such things, a shrieking blast from the north wind strikes the sail in opposition, right? Like face to face or head on, perhaps. Okay, strikes the sail head on, and it raises the waves to the stars. Okay, this is what's often considered a instance of hyperbole here. Okay, did the rays really go to the stars? Well, probably not. Okay, the oars are fractured, are smashed, are shattered. Then the prow turns away and gives the side to the waves. Now, what does that mean? Well, the prow is turned away so that the waves can hit the ship on the side, and that's where the ship would be vulnerable. If the ship is cutting through the waves head on, okay, then it's less likely to be sunk, right? Be turned over, okay? A towering mountain of water pursues in a mass, okay? This is obviously where we get our word cumulus cloud from, right? Okay. Okay, now this is an interesting section here. So these guys are hanging on the top of a wave. Okay. To these guys, a gaping wave shows the ground, okay, between the waves, okay, to these guys, okay. Now the question here is, are he and he's the same guys, or are they two different ones? Most translators say some and others, okay, but I think it's actually quite possible that they could be the same guys, because if these guys are hanging on the top of the wave, they're probably in a better position to see down to where if they're on the top of the wave, that means all the water's up in the air, and there's no more water down in the bottom of the sea. So most translators are going to say some others, but we should keep cognizant of the fact that there's a possibility that these could be the same guys. Okay, a surge rages with sands. Okay, you think of that. You go to the beach, when you walk out into the ocean, when those waves are coming back, okay, they're strong, largely because they're carrying a bunch of sand with them. So it's not just water, but it's water and sand. It's much more dense and strong. Okay. Now, in this next section, I call this the passage of the invisible ships, because very rarely is the word ship used in this passage, yet it's talking about all the things that are happening to the ships. Okay. So first we have Trace, and then we have Notus, which is the south wind, and then Abreptas. And notice that Trace and Abreptas can agree in case, gender, and number. And notice that Abreptas is feminine. Okay, and what we have is a bunch of feminine pronouns and adjectives which are basically representing the ships and what's happening to the ships. So we have notus, which is abreptus tres is accusative. Notus is the subject of torquet. Okay, so a south wind twists 3 ships having been snatched, right? Okay, against the hidden rocks. The Italians call the rocks, and then here we have a delayed quai, which understood verb to be, which are in the middle of the waves, okay, literally in mid waves, but in English we would say in the middle of the waves. They call those rocks the altars. Okay, they had a nickname for that particular famous place where probably lots of ships got shipwrecked. Okay, a huge ridge on the surface of the sea. Okay, at the very top of the sea. You can't see them; they're just below the very surface. Okay, 3, and again, these have to be ships. Okay, 3 ships. The east wind from the sea, okay, into the shoals and the reefs, perhaps, drives. So the east wind drives 3 ships from the sea into the shoals and onto the shoals and the reefs. Wretched to see. There we have our ablative supine. There's an exclamation. Wretched to see. And it drives, again we have it's still the east wind, and it drives them in the shallows or the shoals again, and it rings them, okay, it rings them with a mass of sand. Okay, so and then we have here again another ship, right? One ship which was carrying the Lycians, okay, which are neighbors to the Trojans and allies, and trusty Orontes. Okay, so one ship which was carrying the Lycians and trusty Orontes before his own very own eyes. Okay, before his very eyes. This is probably Aeneas. Okay, Aeneas is seeing this himself. Okay, and a huge sea. Okay, maybe a huge wave from above, from the top. Okay, strikes onto the deck. Okay, and then we have the helmsman, headlong, okay, face first, is struck out, and he is rolled onto his head, okay, but 3 times a wave, again and again, driving them around, probably maybe something like driving it around, that ship, okay, around 3 times, again and again, or twists it again and again, perhaps, okay, and a swift vortex or whirlpool devours it in the sea. Okay, now here we have rari nantes. These got to be men, so these are swimming men and scattered men, okay, appear. Okay, sometimes this is translated here and there, but that's more adverbial. But yeah, it's scattered men on a vast sea, appear swimming on a vast sea, in a vast whirlpool. Okay, the arms of men and planks, probably the planks of ships, and Trojan treasures throughout the waves. Okay, now this next line is kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and scan this. So, Yam Wali, Yam Wali, and then here, this is a long I here, okay, and we're going to have an elision here, and then these are 2, so that's going to be a long, and then we're going to have Ili O, Okay, so those are short. Okay, so Yam, Wali, Di, Leo, and then what we've got here is, this is actually a long I, okay, this is going to be, we need a long syllable here, and this is going to be one single long syllable, okay. Yam, Wali, Di, Leo, Ne, Na, oops, nope, long, Na, Wem, Yam, Fortis, Kati, okay? And what we have going on here is what we call synezesis, okay? And what happens here is we've got an E and a long I, which would not normally be a diphthong, okay? And sometimes this will happen, and basically what's happening is this is just being pronounced all together, okay? And that will happen sometimes. Sometimes we have those what we call synezesis, okay, which literally means a collapsing, okay? So they collapse together, okay? And notice it's not always true that an I followed by a vowel is going to be a consonant, okay? Because in this case, it's leo ne, right? Leo ne. Na wem yam fortis akati. Okay. So, and then we have again another ship. Okay. And notice here we actually get the word ship for I think the only time in this passage. Okay. And that by means of which Abbas was carried, and that ship by means of which aged Aletes understood was carried. Okay, the storm overwhelms. Okay, so these would probably be what the storm is overwhelming would be the accusative of that is the antecedent of these pronouns. Okay, so then we have the seams having been loosened of the sides, or the seams of the sides of the ships having been loosened, they are all taking on hostile water and are gaping with cracks. Doesn't sound like things are going well for the Trojans here. Okay. Till next time.